Welcome back to the Not Sorry podcast. I'm your favorite tough love bestie. Today we are wind up, babes. Cheers. I'm not that wind up. I've only had like one sip. It's Friday. Who fucking cares? But today we are talking about, have you been in a relationship where you have felt single? I think we've all been there. That's what we're talking about today. We're going to dive into it, but first, sip. Maybe I should have had more than one sip before we started. But I went to the interwebs, asked some of you, not sorry gals, what did you do when you felt single in your relationship? And I have a couple great responses. Let me pull it up. Some of them are kind of funny, actually. First off, Amanda, left with dignity. Amen. You know what? I did too. I think. No, I could have done better. Sarah says, if you feel single in a relationship, talk about it with your partner because no relationship works with a one-person crew during doing the work. Fucking men. I always imagined my relationship, it was literally like a one-way street. Like that's how it felt. And we were on two completely different roads, going our own way and just getting mad at each other for it. But yeah, that definitely warrants a tough conversation. All right, Mindy, she goes, you talk about it, then you fuck about it. And she says you'd be surprised how much it fixes things. I have never been that kind of person. Have you? I think I remember one time where you did it after an argument and it was nice, but like I'm too fumed up to like get sexy. I need to hear from you if you're that kind of person that gets your blood flowing. If that's how vulgar can I get? Some of this gets posted on TikTok, so probably not too vulgar, but insert explicit stuff right here. I personally have never been that kind of person that can just get down and dirty. Even though anger fuels my life or used to fuel my life, I just know, I don't know. I just have never been like when I'm angry about something, it's like, nope, I'm stepping away. Last thing I want to do is touch you. It's really complicated, but hold on, sip. I gotta slow down. I gotta drive later. Well, not for a few hours, so I'll be good. All right, next, let's see. Kate, she says, if I felt single, it was most likely a situationship and not an exclusive committed relationship. With that being the case, I feel free to see other people. Yeah, I think I'm going more toward like when you're in a serious relationship, like when you're married or in a long-term relationship that you have felt single, like what was that like and how did it make you feel? Like what did you do? That kind of stuff. But I agree. Like if you're still noobs with somebody and you are feeling single, it's because you just haven't had that conversation. I've been there too, but it's not as detrimental as when you're like married with 3 kids and you're like, I'm better off single, That's so sad. All right. Last one, Luna. How cute. What a cute name. What did I do? ? Got pregnant. What should I have done ? Anything else. Literally anything the fuck else. Specifically, leave. Yeah, I had a friend who did that. She was in an awful, toxic relationship. And she got pregnant and I was like, I can see where this is going. And I was no relationship expert at the time. I was like 20, 21 maybe. And she got pregnant. I'm like, I even know that's not a good idea. But she was so swept up in that moment when she was giving birth and her husband was all of a sudden like this angel and he was being so cute and so sweet. And I think he was bipolar. I would not be I would be disappointed. I would not be, so what I'm thinking, surprised. Wouldn't have been surprised if that was the case. Luckily, she's on the greener side of life and doing very well. But, and her daughter's super cute. But yeah, so that's a couple of what y'all have said. And I put a lot of thought into this, and in my specific situation when I felt single in a relationship. Well, first of all, y'all know I got married way too young, 19 to be exact, and we gave zero time to really get to know each other, because every relationship is so nuanced, right? We gave no time to get to know each other. So we got married way too quick, did not know who each other was. And like, I'm a very strong personality. And, you know, when you're 19, you're still learning about yourself. You're still learning how to manage who you are and how you be successful in your environment. You know, how to manage who you are, like keeping your autonomy, remaining who you are as a person, but being able to operate in the world in a successful way while remaining who you are at your core, right? Does that make sense? For a long time, I was super salty about that. I thought like, this is a side note, by the way. I was so salty that I felt like I had to manage myself at such an extreme level just to make other people comfortable. And that made me so angry. I really was. It's like, why do I have to be the one to accommodate everyone's thoughts and feelings when I can't read their minds or don't know how they're feeling or whatever? Like, why is that my job? Like, I was mad about it. But luckily, I discovered a lot of techniques and tools and learning so much more about myself and being like, oh, you can still be yourself and still have successful interactions with people more often than not. But anyway, so yes, at 19, 20, 21, I came off very strong, and he was an introvert, which created that opposite effect. It's Esther Perel says it's so great. I don't know the exact line, but she says it a lot, where it's like, what usually attracts you to each other is what will ultimately divide you. Ooh. I didn't say it first. But it's so true. And my entire like dating history was always those complicated introverts, because they're so interesting to me and I can have really good, deep one-on-one conversations. Like I have great friendships with introverts because I love that one-on-one. I'm great in big groups too. But with a husband who was very emotionally immature, didn't know how to manage his own emotions, and would just like lock himself in his office, like not even like look at me or say hi to me. And it's like, hi. You know what we did on our anniversary? We went golfing. He was a really good golfer. I just wanted to do something that made him happy. So like I bent over backwards, which I think a lot of women do. And I think that was one of the first points I wanted to bring up, that if you're feeling single in your relationship, you may have been overcompensating, which is a very like natural response. Like us women, just like men in our own way, we're fixers, right? We want to like fix it. We want to help it in whatever way we can and do whatever we can, be as flexible as possible, be as accommodating as possible, and just change as much as possible. Like, oh, it's exhausting. So it's like, you may be picking up too many chores because he's complained one too many times about being tired after work or something like that. And you're like, okay, well, if me doing all this extra stuff, you know, will make you in a better mood when you get home, then I'll do that. If that's it, then yes, I've done that. Oh my God. And guess what? It doesn't work. It's never worked, because there's always going to be something else, because they don't know what's actually going on inside of them. So you just like end up doing everything alone, because they can't face whatever they're going through. They can't admit, or they don't even know, because they don't have the tools in their toolbox. That's tough. That's really tough to deal with. Hold on. Sip. Yeah, I just remember in not just my marriage, but I gotta switch up my situation here. Not just my marriage, but like past relationships too, was like, the bar was always moving. Like the goalposts were always moving. And it's like, do you see how hard I'm working over here? There was one time it wasn't my ex-husband, it was an ex-boyfriend. I was cleaning the kitchen and I was like, man, I'm gonna do it all right. Took some extra time, did some extra little bits or whatever. And I get done, and he like walks into whatever room I was at, and he's like, oh, yeah, you forgot to put that thing away. I'm like, fuck you. I didn't say that, but I said it in so many words where it was like, at that time I was really coming into my own and standing up for myself, being like, I'm sorry, I forgot to put, I think it was the coffee, like the little can of coffee away. And I was like, you know what? I'm sorry, I forgot to put that away. But did you happen to see anything else that I did? Are you appreciative of that? Or are you just going to point out all the negative stuff that I didn't do because it's going to make me not want to do it ever again? Did you think about that? Did you think about being just appreciative of anything? Oh boy, did I pop off. I popped off. Ugh. He was the guy to do it too. He really helped me learn that balance of like confrontation, but in a better way. I could explain. That's a longer story. But yeah, we kind of talked about this. Kind of the next point I wanted to say was like, if you're feeling single in your relationship, it might be time to have the talk. Again, I'm going to say it again. Dr. John Deloney has helped me. His podcast has helped me learn so much about how to have like successful conversations and hard conversations in such just really great ways. So when I think about having, like, if I were to think back to my marriage and needing to have this kind of conversation, like, hey, I have been feeling really alone lately and I don't feel connected to you, or just like whatever. How would he say it? He says it, his recommendation is usually to say it like along the teammate mentality and this is my experience and this is what I'm going through. What can we do together? You know, if there's anything going on with you, and not being so like, you know, point the finger. And I remember trying to do that when I was younger. It's really hard. It's really hard to not be like, you don't do this, you don't do that, you make me feel this way. Like, those are all the wrong ways to like start a conversation. It's like, hey, this is my experience right now, and I don't like that. This is not the marriage I want. This is not the relationship that I've imagined for myself, and I don't think that is what you want either. And just ask those kind of like open-ended questions that doesn't feel so accusatory, you know, and kind of invites them in. That's what he says a lot, is like, invite them into this, hey, I need help here. I need help. And I think that's like a great way to not come across as like, you're a piece of shit. What are we gonna do about that? Because it really does take two to tango. And even though you might be feeling a certain way, we don't want that. But what can you do as a person yourself, not as a wife or a girlfriend, but as just a human, to just be better and take accountability for the areas in which you lack, right? And I thought that too. And even though I was 19, it might be an excuse, but it's also not. I just came off way too strong, and it really had him like retreat. So I, for sure could have like confronted him in a more gentle way, but oh, fuck no, fuck that. Gosh, even thinking back now, the things that I would say with the tools I have in my toolbox right now, like I would still, because I have no skin in the game anymore, like, because there's nothing to risk, I would literally pop off and just be like, you are really emotionally immature and you need to do XYZ. Like, the reason why I didn't go that route also, and a lot of people don't, is because you're scared of what they'll say or they'll do, because you don't want to end the relationship. But honestly, it's kind of an ultimatum where it's just like, I will not continue to live this way. I won't. I don't want to. What can we do together to change that? And you have to be okay with what might happen. I didn't want our lives to blow up, even though I didn't have kids and we're only 4 years married. I didn't want my life to blow up. I had a lot of pride. I had to prove to everyone that getting engaged after 1 month of engagement was a good idea. Yeah, right. So That's what I would encourage to a lot of people, is that have those harder conversations, and you're really scared for it. That's okay, but it will get you a desired result. It will get you where you want to go, even if it doesn't look like it right now. And it's going to be really scary, or tough waters, uncharted territory, all that stuff. Like, I get it. It's so... One day I will have a home where that won't ever happen again. We are still looking at buying a house. If you see me on TikTok, I have a little playlist of our house hunting journey. So I don't know if we're going to do that this year. I want to, but I also love apartment life. I love the amenities. I love having a pool. I'm going to miss that so much, but I won't miss this fucking noise. Okay. Next topic or point that I wanted to bring up is, if you're feeling single in your relationship, he might be checked out. And this kind of all ties in together with everything else, with my exact experience, because he was so unsure on how to deal with me as like this strong, extroverted personality, very passionate. That's the word we're going for. Just really passionate. He didn't know what to do, so it kind of causes people to like shut down. And I get that. I have no advice for it. I don't know, but there have been other circumstances where it's like they're going through their own personal crisis, and it has more or less not really anything to do with you, but it's affecting you. And that, I think that's an easier conversation to bring up. Like, if you feel like they're tough time at work, didn't get the promotion, midlife crisis or something, that's a lot easier to be like, I know you're going through this thing, or I just feel like you're going through a really tough time right now, and this is how it's affecting me, and I don't like that. Or just invite them in to like express to you like kind of what they're going through, because a tough time in life, like, you shouldn't have to do that alone, and that's what you're there for. You're their partner and stuff like that. And they may not, again, a lot, I think we don't often understand, and Dr. John Deloney says this himself, that a lot of men don't have the tools, they don't have the resources, they don't know, like, because for women, I think it is so much more obvious. Like, there's certain things when it comes to relationships, it's so obvious to us. It's so obvious. And so we punish men when they check out, or they don't know how to talk to us, or don't know how to manage their emotions, or whatever. And I've heard some of the calls that he has taken with wives, or even with husbands, where to me, I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. You just got to do this, dude. That's easy. You just tell her X, Y, Z. But he goes about it in a much more graceful way, where it's like, oh, you just don't know how to face this emotion. You don't know how to sit in your fear or X, Y, Z. I'm like, oh, I got to be a little bit more compassionate, that they might just not know what to do. And so it stalls them, or they're in that midlife crisis, and it's like, hey, I don't like this. Their ego's bruised, all this stuff. So I think we can afford a lot more compassion when it comes to men in the world. I'll say it, like, I think men get a really bad rap a lot of the times, and they don't need to. And so do women. Like, it's the battle of the sexes. It's, hurt people, right? It really is a toxic little cycle. And it doesn't need to be that way. And, we need to have a lot more compassion with the people in our lives, and understanding that they just may not know. They just don't know. They don't have the tools. I'm going to stop saying the word tools, I promise. My other favorite, Esther Perel, she wrote in her book, what was it called? I've talked about it before. In one of her books, she talked about, like, why do people cheat? Oh, The State of Affairs, that's what it's called. And it was basically more scientific-y reasons. She's not taking a side as to like who's wrong and who's right, but it's more about like, why does this happen in our relationships? And she kind of boiled it down to disengagement. Who knows why that happens with either side on whoever decides to cheat or have the second family or something like that, or have some online illicit affair or whatever. It's that disengagement. And that word just covers so many bases. And it's so true, especially in my case, when I was continuously battered and beat down for the dumbest shit and never felt welcomed and loved, and that pushed me away further and further and further into things that I would never thought I would do. I was so I had such a high moral standard for myself that was taught to me when I was young, and I still have those standards today, but it's like, oh, I would never do that or say this or whatever, and here you are doing and saying all of it. Ew, that's for another time. That's for another topic. But yeah, the disengagement really happened on both of our ends for sure, because it's like, I'm checking out, man. Like, I don't know what to do. So the easiest thing is to check out, because I don't have the tools in my toolbox. Sorry, that was really annoying. Another reason I think people feel single in their relationships is because one person is kind of outgrowing the other. I've seen this happen with some of my friends, and one partner is being, essentially left behind or whatever, and they're on this like big spiritual growth journey or just a growth journey in general. And because evolution is normal, if you're becoming a better person, if you are finding spirituality or whatever it is, and you're on your own journey, then you kind of look back behind you and think, oh, that's my partner. Ew, they aren't doing anything with themselves. They're not trying to better themselves or take initiative in bettering their lives or whatever. And whether that's like a turnoff or whatever, I think that happens a lot for some people. I know that happened with me a couple of times, where it's like, I am on this fast track of spiritual and personal growth, and they're just like, great, you go you. And I'm like, no, come with me, because I need you to level up and be on the same page as me. I don't want to do this alone, and those were also red flags, and those were clues where it's like, this is only going to work for a short amount of time. And, it's sad, but my mom taught me when I was younger, like, there's people that will come and go from your lives depending on the chapter of your life that you're in. And that's okay. Some people will last the entire novel, and we want that. But there are people who are only there to teach you some lessons, help you learn and grow as a person. And whether they're shitty people or not, they're there to teach you something. And I think we all need to remember that, remember that. But yeah, growth and evolution is very normal. So we have all seen partners hold other people back, even if it's like a weight loss journey or a health journey. How the stories I've heard of these people's partners just truly sabotaging their person and their journey because it's unfamiliar, and it's like, oh, this isn't what we do though. We sit and binge wine and popcorn and pizza every night. Like, I want to keep doing that because it's comfortable. People get stuck in those comfort zones, dog, and it's just not, it's easy to get into, it's hard to get out of, and there's comfort zones that are fine to stay in, but a lot of them aren't. I'll tell you that right now. I'm definitely getting out of comfort zones here lately with this podcast, so let's take a drink for that. Yeah, so, this is a tough bit. It really is. And I do have like a little weekly challenge. I gotta readjust. My natural personality is to be a challenger. If you know the Enneagram, I'm a type 8, if you haven't figured that out already. But I think that is why my inner circle is kind of small, because I make people uncomfortable. No, but I really do want you guys to just be better people. I'll continuously say that. That's what I'll advocate for, is for everyone to be a better person. So if you're not a book reader, even though that's stupid, no, I take that back. Well, do I? Audiobooks are an exception. Okay. But whatever helps you learn the best way, that we'll have grace for that, because I I get that. But this week's challenge is to binge a podcast, specifically the Dr. John Deloney Show, or Esther Perel has a great podcast called Where Do We Begin? And she sits down with these couples. It's just a one-time counseling session. She is a genius. She's so brilliant. And I'm hooked every single time there's an episode. The meat of her episodes are she sits down with a one-time counseling session with this couple, and they just go over whatever their problems are, and you can just pick and choose little parts of these people's problems and relate it to yourself. And just hearing her responses are, I mean, because I think like somebody will say something like, if I was like counseling them, like what would I say? And then she says something beyond brilliant, or just so like they need compassion in this moment, or they need direction in this moment, when I'm just be like, you little bitch, get over it. No. Well, anyway. And then there's some other episodes where she has people call in. Those are quicker episodes. Well, people will call in just being like, I'm having a hard time navigating this issue in my friendship or this relationship or something. And she'll counsel them. And it's just such a great learning tool, because if you kind of apply, what these other people are going through to yourself in any kind of way, boy, can you learn. That one, it took her a minute to get another season out, so I lost track of it. And I looked yesterday, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many more episodes. So I freaked out. I don't have a Buzzkill segment today. I want to. I missed last week too, but you know what? You know what's a Buzzkill? I got one for you right now. My fucking job, dog. It was such a tough week. Mark, he cooked me dinner the other night because I had a shit day at work. And poor thing, he had the longest day. And I was like, I'll cook you dinner. Like, that's usually what I do anyway. Cook you dinner. I want you to have a hot meal when you come home. And he had the longest day. And he came home, and I'm just like, today was so bad. I had my quarterly cry, about 4 times a year. My job makes me cry. That's a buzzkill. But get those tears out, and then after that, I move forward with, I'm so determined. I'm not going to live this reality anymore. And I'm going to change it because I have the power to change it. And I do, with what I do at work, and also hopefully this podcast. So yeah, my 9 to 5 is a total buzzkill. And praise God, we're not going to have to deal with that too much longer. Right? Right, guys? But anyway, that's the podcast. Thanks for listening. Oh, wait, no, I had one more thing. I have a question of the week. So these questions of the week, I will read off every other week. Kind of like what I did at the beginning, where I ask a question and y'all respond, because it's based on a topic that I want to talk about for the day. Some of them are fun. Some of them might be a little bit more introspective. But for this question of the week, what is your wildest first date story? I have got to hear it. I would binge that. If that was just a single episode of just hearing your guys' stories on your first dates, that would be so much fun. I haven't had really many. I don't think I've had a really bad first date. Some of them were just awkward, but not so crazy. I want to hear it all. So if you're on TikTok, you can comment or DM me, or I do Reddit posts as well. Wherever you're hearing this, you will respond via DM or whatever, email. Also the email below, you can do that. But again, thanks for listening. Please rate and review, the drill. But thanks again for supporting, though. I really do enjoy the support. We're slowly growing and evolving over here. So thank you for those of you who are here along the journey with my OGs. Cheers. Bye.